Victor did not hesitate. He reached up and yanked the champagne flute from Lena's tray so hard the entire thing tilted. Before she could steady it, he set the glass down and grabbed her wrist. His fingers dug in. "You see this, Chloe?" he said loud enough that the conversations around them stuttered to a stop. "This is what I mean. Dating Lena really taught me to appreciate quality." He pulled the woman beside him closer, blonde, dripping in diamonds, wearing a smile sharp enough to cut glass. "You understand," gasps rippled through the gala. Lena stood frozen in her black and white catering uniform, her heart pounding as the man she loved shattered her in front of 200 of Chicago's elite. Phones slowly rose. Camera flashes sparked like lightning. Whispers spread like wildfire. Across the ballroom, a man in a midnight blue tuxedo watched it all. Tall, broad-shouldered, his dark eyes stayed locked on Lena, calm and focused, as if he'd been expecting this exact moment. Victor released Lena's wrist and turned away, already laughing with Chloe about something else. Lena's vision blurred. The tray trembled in her hands. She was seconds from running, from the gala, from the humiliation, from every person in this room who'd just witnessed her become invisible all over again. She was almost to the service entrance when a firm hand caught her elbow. "Don't," the man in the tuxedo said quietly. His voice was low, controlled. "Don't run." Lena tried to pull free, but his grip, though gentle, held firm. "Let me go," she said, her voice breaking on the words. "I have to. I need to." "No, you don't," the man said. And there was a certainty in his tone that cut through the panic, threatening to drown her. "You don't need to hide from a man who just humiliated you in front of everyone who matters in this city. You don't need to let him make you disappear. You need to let him see what he just lost." "Who are you?" Lena demanded, her voice rising with hysteria and something else. Anger maybe or desperation. "Why are you stopping me?" The man didn't answer. Instead, he released her elbow and turned to face the ballroom. The entire gala was watching them now, their faces a blur of shock and curiosity and poorly concealed excitement at the drama unfolding before them. Crystal chandeliers cast fractured light across marble floors. A string quartet had gone silent. The man walked past Lena, moving with a kind of fluid confidence that made people instinctively step aside. He walked straight toward Victor and Chloe, who were still laughing, completely unaware. Lena found herself following him, drawn along in his wake like she had no choice in the matter. He stopped directly in front of Victor. Up close, Lena could see the perfectly tailored suit, the expensive watch catching the light, the way he stood like he owned not just the room, but the entire building. "Because he did." "Victor Hayes," the man said, and his voice carried across the ballroom without him having to raise it. "I don't believe we've been introduced." Victor turned, his smile faltering. "I'm sorry, do I?" "No." The man cut him off smoothly. "But I know who you are. You're the man who just made the worst mistake of his life." Victor's face went from confused to defensive. "Excuse me." The man glanced back at Lena, who stood frozen with her empty tray still clutched in white-knuckled hands. When he looked back at Victor, something in his expression had changed. Gone was the polite businessman. What remained was something colder, more dangerous. "You just humiliated a woman in public to impress." He glanced at Chloe with barely concealed distaste. "Her in my hotel at my gala. And now you're going to apologize." "Your hotel?" Victor's voice went up an octave. Recognition finally dawned. "Wait, you're Julian Sterling." "I am Julian Sterling, heir to the Sterling Hotel empire, billionaire, and based on the way every person in the room was now staring, the most powerful man in Chicago." He took a single step forward. Victor took 2 steps back. And you're going to apologize to Lena Harper right now in front of everyone. The ballroom held its breath. Phones were recording now, dozens of them, capturing every second. Chloe had gone very still, her diamond-crusted fingers sliding off Victor's arm. Victor started. Now, Julian said, and it wasn't a request. Victor's face flushed red, then white. He turned to Lena, and she saw something she'd never seen before. Fear. Lena, I'm sorry. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. Lena's voice surprised her with its steadiness. The trembling had stopped. The panic had crystallized into something sharper. You meant every word. Julian turned then, and for the first time, he looked at Lena directly. Really looked at her. Now, his dark eyes held hers with an intensity that made her breath catch. You deserve better than an apology from him, he said, quiet enough that only she could hear. You deserve better than all of this. Before she could respond, he turned back to the ballroom. The crowd pressed closer, eager to see what would happen next. Ladies and gentlemen, Julian said, his voice carrying effortlessly. I apologize for the disruption. Please enjoy the rest of your evening. He glanced at Victor one last time. Security will see you out. Two men in dark suits appeared as if summoned. Victor opened his mouth. Whether to protest or plead, Lena couldn't tell. But the men were already escorting him toward the exit. Chloe hurried after them in her two high heels, her face flushed with humiliation. The ballroom erupted in whispers. The quartet started playing again, but no one was listening. All eyes were on Julian Sterling and the waitress in the catering uniform. Julian took the tray from Lena's hands and set it on a nearby table. Then he offered her his arm like they were about to dance. Walk with me, he said. Not a question, not quite a command. Something in between. Lena stared at his arm, at the expensive fabric, at the watch that probably cost more than her car. I'm working, she said, because it was the only thing that made sense to say. Not anymore. Julian tilted his head slightly. Consider the rest of your shift handled. I can't just you can. His dark eyes found hers again. Trust me. And against every instinct, screaming at her to run, to hide, to get as far away from this disaster as possible, Lena placed her hand on his arm. The fabric was soft. His arm beneath it was solid, steady. They walked together through the parting crowd, past the staring faces and the whispered speculation, past the cameras and the crystal and the inherited wealth. Lena's cheap work shoes were silent on the marble. Julian's Italian leather barely made a sound. He led her through a door she'd never noticed before, down a hallway lined with art she'd never been allowed to stop and admire, into an elevator that required a key card to operate. The doors slid shut, and suddenly they were alone. The sounds of the gala faded to nothing. What are you doing? Lena finally asked, her voice small in the elevator's polished interior. Julian pressed a button. The elevator began to rise. Fixing a problem. I'm not your problem to fix. No, he agreed. You're not, but I have a proposition for you. He turned to face her fully. And I think you're going to want to hear it. The elevator climbed higher. Lena's reflection stared back at her from the mirrored walls. Her hair falling out of its bun, her uniform wrinkled, her eyes red from unshed tears. Next to her, Julian Sterling looked like he'd stepped out of a magazine. They couldn't have been more different. A proposition, Lena repeated flatly. A business proposition. The elevator slowed. How much do you need? What? The doors opened onto a floor Lena had never seen before. A private floor. Julian stepped out, then turned back to her. How much do you need? He asked again, his dark eyes unreadable. To pay your mother's medical bills. To go to culinary school. To stop working 3 jobs just to survive. How much would it take to give you the life you actually want? Lena's mouth went dry. How do I make it my business to know things? Julian held out his hand. Come upstairs. Let me explain and then you can decide if you're interested. Lena looked at his outstretched hand at the elevator behind her that could take her back down to her old life at the hallway ahead that led to what? A trap, an opportunity, a nightmare disguised as a dream. I don't even know you, she whispered. I know. Julian's hand didn't waver. But I know you, Lena Harper. I've watched you work this hotel for 2 years. I've seen how you smile at guests who don't see you. How you hold your head high even when people treat you like furniture. How you stay late to help other staff even when you're exhausted. And I know you're better than Victor Hayes ever deserved. And I know you're worth more than you've ever been paid. The words hung in the air between them. The elevator doors started to close. Lena's hand shot out, stopping them. What kind of proposition? She asked. Julian smiled then. It was the first real expression she'd seen on his face. The kind that changes everything, he said. For both of us. Lena took his hand. The elevator doors closed behind her. And in that moment, with her world still spinning from humiliation and her future suddenly impossibly uncertain, Lena Harper made a choice. Not because she had no other options, not because Julian Sterling was rich and powerful and offering her a way out, but because for the first time in her life, someone saw her. Really saw her and asked what she wanted. Yet the answer to that question would change both their lives forever. In Julian Sterling's private office, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city lights of Chicago. Lena stood in the center of the room, still in her catering uniform, while the man who'd just defended her poured 2 glasses of water from a crystal decanter. Sit, he said, gesturing to a leather chair that probably cost more than her rent. Lena didn't sit. What do you want from me? Julian set down both glasses. He studied her for a long moment, and Lena forced herself not to look away, not to make herself smaller the way she'd learned to do in rooms full of wealthy people who looked through her like glass. I need a fiancé, Julian said finally. You need money. I'm proposing we help each other. Lena's laugh came out sharp and bitter. You're joking. I don't joke about business. Julian leaned against his desk. My uncle is trying to force me out of the company. The board thinks I'm unstable after my divorce. They want proof I can commit to something, someone. 6 months of a committed relationship and I keep my voting shares. 6 months and the company stays mine. And you want me to what? Pretend to be your girlfriend. Fiancé, he corrected. More believable, more permanent looking. Lena shook her head. This is insane. Is it? Julian picked up one of the water glasses and took a sip. Your mother needs specialized treatment for her diabetes complications. Treatment that costs approximately $40,000 that you don't have. You're trying to save money for culinary school. But between your mother's bills and your own rent, you're drowning. But you work 3 jobs and you're still barely surviving. Am I wrong? Heat flooded Lena's face. How do I told you I make it my business to know. Julian set down the glass. I'm offering you a solution. $50,000 up front, $200,000 at the end of 6 months. All your expenses paid while you're living with me. Your mother's treatment covered. Culinary school tuition paid in full. The numbers hit Lena like physical blows. That much money would change everything. Everything. What's the catch? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. 6 months of your life, Julian said. You move into my penthouse. You attend events as my fiancé. You convince everyone it's real. When the board vote is over, we end the engagement quietly. And you walk away with enough money to start fresh. That's the catch. Lena's mind raced. This was crazy. Impossible. The kind of thing that only happened in movies. Why me? She asked. You could have anyone. Any woman in that ballroom downstairs would. I don't want any woman in that ballroom. Julian straightened and something in his posture changed. I want someone who won't actually fall in love with me. Someone who understands this is business. Someone who needs the money too much to complicate things with feelings. You fit every requirement. The words should have stung. Instead, they felt honest, transactional, safe in a strange way. I need to think about it, Lena said. Of course. Julian walked to his desk and pulled out a folder. This is a draft contract. Take it, read it, have a lawyer review it if you want. I'll give you 48 hours to decide. He held out the folder. Lena took it with shaking hands. And if I say no, then you walk out of here and we never speak of this again. Julian met her eyes. But if you say yes, then everything changes for both of us. Lena clutched the folder to her chest. Inside was either her salvation or her destruction. She wouldn't know which until she opened it. How do I contact you? She asked. Julian pulled a business card from his pocket and handed it to her. My private number. Call when you decide. Lena took the card, their fingers brushed, and something electric sparked between them. She pulled back quickly. I should go, she said. One more thing. Julian's voice stopped her at the door. What Victor did tonight, that's the last time anyone will humiliate you. If you take this deal, you'll be under my protection. No one touches what's mine. Lena's breath caught. I'm not yours. No, Julian agreed, something unreadable in his dark eyes. Not yet. Lena left before she could ask what he meant by that. But as she stepped into the elevator with the contract burning in her hands and Julian Sterling's private number in her pocket, she already knew what her answer would be. She'd known the moment she took his hand. Some choices are made in seconds. Some decisions happen between heartbeats. Lena Harper had just made hers. Now she just had to live with it. The contract burned in Lena's hands all the way to the parking garage. 48 hours to decide. 48 hours to choose between pride and her mother's life. She sat in her 15-year-old Honda and stared at the folder. Julian Sterling's private number clipped to the front. One call, that's all it would take. Her phone buzzed. Riley. There were 3 missed calls. Girl, where are you? Riley's voice exploded through the speaker. Everyone's talking about what happened. Can you meet me at Mercy Hospital? I need to see my mama. I'm already here. Night shift, remember. Her mother was sleeping when Lena arrived. Machines beeping their steady rhythm. Clara Harper looked smaller than last week. The dialysis was taking more out of her each time. Riley pulled Lena into the hallway. Talk. Lena told her everything. The humiliation, Julian, the proposition, the contract in her purse. $250,000, Riley whispered. That's life-changing. By pretending to be his fiancé, by lying to everyone, by playing a part for 6 months. Riley's eyes were fierce. You've been playing parts your whole life, smiling at people who look through you, being grateful for scraps. This time you get paid what you're worth. Lena looked through the window at her mother, the IV lines, the monitors, the slow deterioration of a woman who'd worked 3 jobs to raise Lena alone. She pulled out her phone. Julian answered on the first ring. Have you decided? I have conditions. My mother never knows this is fake. My best friend knows the truth. I won't lie to her. And I keep my job until the money clears. Agreed. Anything else? I'm not your property. I'm your business partner. A pause. Then something that might have been respect. Agreed. My office tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. We'll finalize everything. Tomorrow, Saturday, I work a double. Not anymore. I'm having your shifts covered. Don't be late. He hung up before she could argue. Riley grinned. You just negotiated with a billionaire. I just sold 6 months of my life. No. Riley pulled her into a hug. You bought your future back. Lena wondered why it felt like both. Saturday morning, Lena signed the contract while Julian's lawyers watched. The pen felt too heavy, her signature too small. First payment clears Monday, Julian said, sliding a black card across the desk. Your mother's treatment starts Tuesday. Lena stared at the card, her name in silver. Lena Harper, soon to be Lena Sterling, except not really. She visited her mother that afternoon. Clara was sitting up stronger already with the new medication. Baby, how did you afford this? Lena had practiced the lie. I got a loan, a good one. Mama, let me take care of you for once. She squeezed her mother's hand. It's my turn. Clara's eyes filled. I'm so proud of you. The words carved into Lena's chest. Lying to the woman who'd never lied to her. Riley helped her pack Sunday morning, shoving Lena's life into 2 suitcases. You own like 3 nice outfits, Riley said. What do I need nice clothes for? You're about to be a billionaire's fiancé. Riley threw a dress in. You need everything. Lena looked around her studio, cramped, leaking, but hers. I'm terrified. Riley pulled her close. Then be terrified in a penthouse. Be terrified with your mama getting treatment. She pulled back, fierce. Don't be terrified here, staying small because it's safe. Across the city, Julian stood in his penthouse, staring at the guest bedroom. Second thoughts? Miriam asked. Strategic concerns. She's not Brooke. Miriam straightened flowers on the dresser. This girl works 3 jobs. Takes care of her mama. She didn't come looking for you. She came for my money. For her mother's life. There's a difference. Miriam fixed him with a look. Don't punish her for Brooke's sins. The intercom buzzed. Ms. Harper has arrived. Lena stepped off the elevator into a different universe. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Museum-quality art. Julian Sterling in the middle of it all. Welcome, he said. You're home for 6 months. Miriam appeared warm where Julian was cold. I'm Miriam. Let me show you to your room. The guest bedroom was bigger than Lena's entire apartment. When Miriam left, Lena sat on the bed and felt the silence press in. Down the hall, light glowed under Julian's door. She texted Riley. I'm in. It's beautiful. I'm terrified. Then be terrified in style, sis. Lena looked around her gilded cage and wondered if she'd just made the most expensive mistake of her life. Monday morning, Julian took Lena shopping. Not shopping, being dressed. Stylists pulled clothes Lena would never touch. Silk, cashmere, price tags that made her dizzy. This is necessary, Julian said when she balked at a $3,000 dress. You're representing the Sterling brand now. Brand, not family, brand. Miriam coached her through Chicago society's minefield. Smile, but not too much. Never discuss money. Let them come to you. What if they ask about us? You met at the hotel. He swept you off your feet. Keep it simple. The engagement announcement went live at noon. Lena's phone exploded, everyone wanting to know how a waitress landed Julian Sterling. The comments were brutal. Gold digger. Social climber. She's not even pretty. Don't read them, Julian said, taking her phone. They don't matter. They think I'm using you. Something dark crossed his face. Let them. That evening, they attended a business dinner. Julian's family would be there. Beatrice Sterling was ice in human form. How lovely. Julian, you didn't mention she was so unexpected. Uncle Reginald was worse. 6 months ago, you were serving drinks. Now you're engaged to the heir. Quite a promotion. Quite a woman. Julian cut in, his hand finding Lena's waist. Possessive. My fiancée. I expect her treated as such. Only Sophia, Julian's younger sister, offered warmth. Ignore them. You're prettier than his ex-wife anyway. The dinner was performance. Lena smiled until her face hurt. Let Julian touch her. Hand on her back, fingers intertwined, all for show. Yet each touch felt like a brand. You did well, Julian said in the car. I'm a good actress. Yes, you are. Back at the penthouse, Lena escaped to her room. Down the hall, Julian's light stayed on, working, always in control. She looked at herself in the mirror, designer dress, professional makeup, styled hair, and didn't recognize the woman staring back. For the first time since signing the contract, Lena wondered if money could buy her back when this was over. The first month passed in performances. Breakfasts where they barely spoke. Galas where they played perfect, cameras always watching. Lena discovered Julian woke at 5 a.m. One sleepless morning she found him in the kitchen already suited, reading financial reports. You're up early. Couldn't sleep. She moved to the coffee maker. Do you ever relax? Relaxing is how you lose everything. She studied him. Dark circles, tension in every line. Or working yourself to death is. What matters besides work? Julian didn't answer. She pulled ingredients from the fridge. Eggs, butter, herbs. What are you doing? Cooking. It's what I do when I can't sleep. He watched her work. Slowly, his shoulders eased. When she slid the omelet across, he stared at it. When's the last time someone cooked for you? I have a chef. Not what I asked. Julian took a bite. My father used to make breakfast before he died. How old were you? 12. My mother was already working 18-hour days to keep the business. I learned young. Nothing comes without a cost. Is that why you don't trust anyone? His eyes met hers. Sharp, guarded. I trust people to act in self-interest. It's reliable. Then you must really trust me. My self-interest is obvious. Yes, it is. That's why this works. But the way he looked at her said something else entirely. At a charity gala that week, his hand on her waist felt less foreign. When he leaned in to whisper about an approaching board member, Lena caught herself leaning back. The cameras loved it. Later, Riley called. You two look good together. Too good. You catching feelings. It's just acting. Keep telling yourself that. Lena thought about his hand, his touch lingering. The almost kiss when he'd helped with her necklace and their faces had been inches apart. This is just business, she said. Then why do you sound like you're trying to convince yourself? That night, Lena stood at her window watching city lights. Down the hall, Julian's door stayed open, still working. She wondered when pretending had started feeling real. Sunday dinner at her mother's house felt different. Lena arrived in a car worth more than the block. Julian came in jeans trying to blend. It didn't work. Her uncle Miguel studied Julian like a problem. So, you're the billionaire. I'm Julian. He offered his hand. Dinner was tense until Julian asked Miguel about construction. Really asked. Listened. By dessert, they were deep in conversation. Lena's nephew showed Julian basketball cards. Julian sat on the floor and talked stats like it mattered. When her mother served sweet tea, Julian smiled. My father made tea like this. Clara softened. Where was he from? Alabama. Worked construction before the business. Julian looked at Lena. Your daughter reminds me of him. Same determination. The walls crumbled. In the car after, Julian was quiet. You didn't have to pretend to like them, Lena said. I wasn't pretending. Your family loves you. My mother barely speaks to me unless it's business. Your uncle built something with his hands. My grandfather exploited men like him. He paused. I know which is more honorable. Lena saw past the billionaire, saw the boy who'd lost his father. You're not what I expected. Neither are you. That week, she accompanied him to a board meeting. Uncle Reginald ambushed Julian with projections. Lena stepped in with insights from her economics degree, finished while working 3 jobs. Reginald's eyes narrowed. Julian's hand found hers under the table. At a gala that night, Julian's ex-wife appeared. Brooke, blonde, cruel. The waitress, Brooke purred. How quaint. My fiancé, Julian corrected, ice in every word. Later, Brooke cornered Lena. He'll get bored. He always does. When they got home, Lena confronted him. How many women have there been? Julian met her eyes. Many, but none of them were you. He kissed her then. No cameras, no performance. Lena kissed him back and forgot why this was supposed to be fake. 2 months in, they'd stopped pretending. Lena started culinary school. Julian showed up her first day, watching from the back. Then her mother collapsed. Emergency surgery complications. Lena fell apart and Julian didn't just pay. He stayed, held her, called in the best surgeons, sat with her through the endless night. Why are you doing this? Lena asked at 3 a.m. Because you matter. He brushed hair from her face. This stopped being business a long time ago. She looked at him and knew she was in love. The realization terrified her. Her mother survived. When Lena finally went home, Julian was waiting. I love you, she said. Simple, true. Julian went still, then cold. Lena, it's okay. You don't have to say it back. This is the arrangement. It's business. It was always business. The words felt like a slap. Right. Business. She went to her room and didn't come out. Meanwhile, Uncle Reginald was circling, found inconsistencies, started digging, and Victor, seeing Lena everywhere, reached out, wanted to meet. When Julian found out, he was furious. Why do you care? Lena challenged. This isn't real, remember. You're right, it's business. Don't forget that. But that night they had to appear at a gala together. Play perfect while destroying each other. Paparazzi ambushed Lena. Questions about Victor, about being a gold digger, about Julian getting bored. She held it together until the car then broke. Julian pulled her close. I'm sorry. I didn't mean then. What did you mean? She pulled back. Tell me this is real. He stared, opened his mouth, closed it. The silence was answer enough. Lena went to her room alone. 4 months into 6. The countdown felt like a death sentence. She was in love with a man who'd paid for her heart and didn't want it. Uncle Reginald found the contract. A staff member he'd paid off leaked it. Proof Julian had been deceiving the board about his committed relationship. Reginald planned to reveal it at the next meeting, destroy Julian's credibility, take the company. Julian made a calculated decision, have his lawyers spin it, say the arrangement started practical, but became real, which was true, but he didn't tell Lena. Victor escalated, too, met with tabloid journalists, threatened to expose Lena's real background, paint her as a gold digger who trapped Julian. Julian's team found out. Julian paid Victor off to stay quiet. When Lena discovered the payoff, she exploded. You think you can buy your way out of everything? Buy me. Buy my ex's silence. I was protecting you. I don't need you to save me. I'm not some project you rescue to feel better about yourself. The truth came pouring out. You never saw me as an equal, just someone to manage. You never trusted me. Always had one foot out the door because this was always going to end. 6 months. Remember, we had an end date. What if I don't want it to end? Lena stared at him. Then say it. Tell me this is real. He froze. Years of being used, of protecting himself, of not trusting anyone with his heart. He couldn't say the words. The silence damned them both. That's what I thought. Lena started packing. Miriam tried to stop her. That man loves you, child. He's just too scared to say it. I can't be with someone who treats me like a contract. She left. Julian watched her go, frozen by fear and pride. The penthouse was empty. Julian stood in the kitchen where she used to cook, surrounded by everything money could buy and nothing that mattered. 5 days until the board meeting. He was about to lose everything. And the only thing he cared about was already gone. Lena moved back to her tiny apartment. Back to culinary school. Back to working at a small bistro. Her mother was doing better. The treatment worked. Lena had paid Julian back every penny. Refused to keep money that felt like blood money now. She was surviving. You're surviving, not living, Riley said one night. I love him, but I can't be with someone who can't love me back. Riley hugged her. I know, sis. Across town, Julian was drowning. The board meeting came. Uncle Reginald revealed the contract, tried to use it as proof Julian was unfit to lead. But Julian's lawyers outmaneuvered him. Showed the relationship had become genuine. The board sided with Julian. He kept the company. It felt hollow. Sophia found him in his office afterward. You won the business and lost the woman. Was it worth it? No. His mother, Beatrice, appeared. For once, her ice melted. Your father was rich. But the day I knew I loved him was when he was willing to lose everything for me. She looked at her son. What have you risked for her? Nothing. He'd risked nothing. Protected himself while asking her to risk everything. The 6-month mark passed. The arrangement officially over. Julian sent the final payment. Lena sent it back with a note. I don't want your money. I never did. He stared at that note for hours. Miriam found him. So, what are you going to do? What if it's too late? Then you'll know. But right now, you're choosing cowardice over love. And that's not the man your grandfather raised. Julian looked at the note. At the evidence that she'd never wanted his money, only him. He'd been so afraid of being used. He'd pushed away the one person who saw him. He made a decision. Not a business decision, a heart decision. Clear my schedule, he told his assistant. Find out where Lena Harper will be tomorrow night. This time he wasn't negotiating. He was begging. Lena's culinary school showcase. Students presenting to investors. When her turn came, Lena presented her grandmother's recipe. Elevated. Perfect. The crowd loved it. Then Julian stepped forward. Lena's smile dropped. What are you doing here? He walked to the front. Everyone recognized him. I need witnesses because Lena doesn't believe words without proof. He turned to her. 6 months ago, I offered money to pretend to love me. Too afraid to risk earning real love. You accepted to save your mother. None of it was real. The room silenced. But somewhere between the contract and the countdown, I fell in love with you. Watching you hold that champagne tray with more dignity than anyone there. The way you cook at 5 a.m. The way you challenge me. The way you never let me buy your respect. He showed papers. This is the deed to your apartment building. I've set up a trust keeping rents affordable. Not for you. Because of you. You taught me wealth without purpose is just numbers. More papers. A scholarship fund in your mother's name. Proof I've stepped down from half my board positions to support causes that matter. He knelt. No ring, just truth. I have nothing to offer but this. I love you. I'm terrified. I'll mess it up. But I promise to try every day to be worthy. Not because of money, because of love. I'm not asking you to marry me. Not yet. I'm asking for a chance to earn that question. Will you let me try? Lena was crying. You really stepped down. He laughed. Call my assistant. It's done. This powerful man on his knees, vulnerable for her. Stand up. He did. Uncertain. She kissed him. The room erupted. The arrangement wasn't real. she said. But this is. Yes, Julian, you can try. 6 months later, Lena finished culinary school while working at a prestigious restaurant. They didn't live together yet. She kept her apartment, but Julian stayed there more than his penthouse because it smells like her cooking. Real dates, real fights about normal things. He worked too much. She was too stubborn. Lena's mother adored him. Beatrice slowly warmed. I've never seen him happy before you, Sophia told Lena. They returned to the Sterling Gala, the same one where it started. This time they walked in as themselves, not performances. Victor was there, working as someone's assistant. Humbled, he tried to apologize. Lena with Julian beside her felt nothing. I forgive you. You did me a favor. Julian started to defend her. She didn't need it. They danced and he whispered, I have something for you. He pulled out a ring. Simple, elegant, perfect. I said I'd earn the right to ask. I think I've tried hard enough. Will you marry me for real this time? Yes, but I have one condition. He tensed. What? She grinned. I get to plan the wedding. No fancy hotel. He laughed. Whatever you want. I want you. The rest is just details. 1 year later, Lena's restaurant, Claris, opened in her old neighborhood. Fine dining for the community. Not Julian's money. She had investors. He was there as her husband and biggest supporter. Beatrice sat with Clara as the two mothers who birthed this love story. Sophia was Lena's business partner. Miriam managed the restaurant. Riley tended bar. Their families blended. Julian proposed a toast. To my wife, who taught me the best things can't be bought. They have to be earned every single day. I plan to keep earning this for the rest of my life. Lena responded to second chances, to new beginnings, to love that's real. They kissed. The restaurant erupted in applause. Outside, a billboard showed Lena's face and the restaurant name. She made it, not because he saved her, because she saved herself. He was just smart enough to hold her hand while she did it. To expand this story to a full hour-long script, let's add more depth, additional scenes, backstories, and extended dialogues. Imagine this as a narrated audio drama with descriptive passages to fill time. I'll continue the narrative with added elements. As Lena and Julian's relationship deepened beyond the contract, there were moments of quiet intimacy that neither had anticipated. One evening, after a particularly grueling day at the office for Julian, he returned to the penthouse to find Lena in the kitchen, experimenting with new recipes. The aroma of fresh herbs and spices filled the air, a stark contrast to the sterile boardrooms he spent his days in. What's that? Julian asked, loosening his tie as he leaned against the doorframe. A new dish for class tomorrow, Lena replied, not looking up from her chopping board. It's inspired by my grandmother's old recipes, but with a modern twist. Julian watched her for a moment, the way her hands moved with precision and passion. He realized then how much he envied that, her ability to create something tangible, something that brought joy. Can I help? He offered tentatively. Lena glanced up, surprised. You, in the kitchen, why not? He rolled up his sleeves and stepped beside her. Teach me. That night, they chopped vegetables together, laughed when he burned the garlic, and shared stories from their childhoods. Julian spoke of his father's untimely death in a construction accident, how it had forced him into the family business far too young. Lena shared tales of her mother's sacrifices, working endless shifts to provide for her after her father left when she was a child. These conversations peeled back layers, revealing vulnerabilities neither had shown before. But tensions arose too. One afternoon, Lena received a call from an old friend inviting her to a reunion. Julian overheard and insisted on accompanying her, citing the need to maintain appearances. It's not about the contract, Lena snapped. I can handle my own life. Julian's jaw tightened. I'm just trying to protect us both. Protect. Or control. The argument escalated, words flying like daggers. Lena stormed out, spending the night at Riley's. The next day, Julian showed up at her class with flowers, a genuine apology on his lips. I'm learning, he said. Bear with me. Lena forgave him, but the incident highlighted the cracks in their facade turning real. Another layer came when Julian introduced Lena to his extended family at a weekend retreat in the countryside. The Sterling estate was sprawling, with manicured gardens and a lake. Beatrice was there, her disapproval barely veiled. Sophia pulled Lena aside for a walk. He's different with you, she confided. Less guarded. Uncle Reginald grilled Lena over dinner about her intentions, but Julian defended her fiercely. As the evening wore on, they snuck away to the lake, sitting on the dock under the stars. Julian opened up about his divorce from Brooke, how she'd married him for status, cheated, and left him jaded. Lena shared her heartbreak with Victor, how he'd promised forever only to discard her. In that vulnerability, they found connection. Back in the city, Lena's culinary skills shone at a private dinner party Julian hosted for potential investors. She catered it herself, impressing everyone. One investor even offered to back her future restaurant. Julian beamed with pride, but later confessed his fear. What if you succeed without me? Lena cupped his face. I want you by my side, not ahead or behind. The conflicts with Uncle Reginald intensified. He hired a private investigator, uncovering bits of Lena's past, her struggles with debt, her ex's pettiness. He confronted Julian privately. This is a liability. End it. Julian refused, but the pressure mounted. Meanwhile, Victor, fueled by jealousy, spread rumors online. Lena faced harassment at school, whispers following her. She confronted Julian about the payoff he'd made to Victor. How dare you? It was to shield you, he argued. But Lena saw it as overreach. Their biggest fight ensued, words like trust and equality thrown around. Lena left for a week, staying with her mother. Clara noticed her daughter's turmoil. Talk to me, baby. Lena confessed parts of the truth, careful not to reveal the contract. Clara advised. Love isn't about perfection. It's about choosing each other daily. Julian, meanwhile, threw himself into work but felt empty. Miriam urged him to fight for her. He drove to Clara's house, hat in hand. I messed up, he admitted to Lena on the porch. But I can't imagine life without you. They reconciled, but with boundaries. As the board meeting loomed, Reginald's schemes peaked. He presented forged documents suggesting Lena was blackmailing Julian. The board was divided. Julian fought back, presenting evidence of Reginald's own embezzlement. In the chaos, Lena stood by Julian, her testimony swaying key members. We started as a deal, she admitted boldly. But it became love. The board ruled in Julian's favor. Victory was sweet, but the real triumph was their bond. Post-contract, they dated authentically. Julian reduced his workload, joining Lena on trips to farmers' markets for ingredients. They volunteered at community centers, Julian learning humility. Lena's restaurant dream took shape with her own efforts, though Julian supported subtly. Their wedding was intimate, in a park near Clara's home, surrounded by blended families. Miguel walked Lena down the aisle. Beatrice gave a rare smile. As they exchanged vows, Julian promised, I'll earn your love every day. Lena replied, and I'll remind you you're worthy of it. Years later, Clara's restaurant thrived, a hub for the neighborhood. Julian and Lena had children, balancing empire and family. Their story became legend, proof that love transcends transactions. Hello friends. You just watched Lena go from humiliated waitress to restaurant owner married to the man she loves. But this isn't just entertainment. There are real lessons that can change your life. Lesson 1. Your worth isn't determined by how others treat you. When Victor humiliated Lena, she had a choice. Let that moment define her or hold her head high and make a decision that terrified her. Here's the truth. People will treat you poorly. They'll underestimate you, try to make you feel small. But your value doesn't decrease based on someone's inability to see your worth. Lena was worthy before Julian. Worthy serving champagne. Worthy when Victor mocked her. Worthy when she walked away from Julian's money. You are not your job title, not your bank account, not what your ex said. You are worthy right now exactly as you are. Take time to reflect on this. Think of a time someone belittled you. How did you respond? Next time, stand tall. Affirm your value daily. Journal it. Surround yourself with people who see it too. This mindset shift can take months, but it's transformative. Lesson 2. Never mistake a transaction for love. Julian tried to buy love because he was afraid to earn it. Lena almost accepted being treated like a business deal because she needed money. Both learned real love can't be purchased, controlled, or contracted. If someone makes you perform to be loved, constantly proving worth, auditioning for affection, that's not love. That's a transaction. Real love is Julian on his knees with no ring, no money, no leverage, just truth. Real love is Lena choosing him not from need, but from want. Real love requires vulnerability. It's terrifying, but it's the only way to build something real. Stop accepting crumbs. Stop performing for love. Be yourself, messy, imperfect, real, and wait for someone who loves that version. To apply this, evaluate your relationships. Are they balanced? Do you feel seen? If not, have honest conversations. Seek therapy if needed. Build self-love first. Date yourself, pursue hobbies, grow independently. Over time, you'll attract genuine connections. Lesson 3. Save yourself first. Then let someone walk beside you. The most important moment isn't when Julian saves Lena at the gala, it's when Lena saves herself. She goes to school, works at the bistro, pays him back, builds her restaurant with her own investors, proves to herself she never needed him to succeed. Only then, whole on her own, is she ready for real love. Too many wait for someone to rescue them, fix their problems, make them complete. But you have to save yourself. Do the hard work. Build your own life. Then, standing on solid ground, invite someone to stand beside you. Julian didn't save Lena. He gave an opportunity. But Lena saved Lena. That's why their love story worked. Stop waiting for your billionaire. Stop waiting for someone to see your worth and hand you dreams. Go build them yourself. The most attractive thing you can be is someone who doesn't need saving. Someone who's already saved themselves and is looking for a partner to share the adventure. Start small. Set goals, take classes, network. Celebrate progress. It might take years, but the empowerment is worth it. Remember, like Lena, you have the power to change your story.